Too smooth that mud talking to have your ass in a wreck. Who's signing your check? Pussy better do what he says. We shutting down shows. Ain't gotta put no price in your head. Man, I'm coming for your tongue for all that shit that you said.
Gonna make the heat go boom, 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 boom. What it is, I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is. As you can tell, it's another profile. And by the looks of the baboso on the thumbnail, Simon, the man himself, Michael Thompson. Michael Terrible Thompson, right? Michael Lynn Thompson, to be in fact. And I felt that for no other reason, I should pretty much put out this man's profile, what I know of him, give you some of the PowerPoints, his story, and what led up to his demise. I say his demise because the vault's going to be sitting down for a very long time when he had that chance. Now, in every man's life, when you're living that life and you're in that lifestyle and you're incarcerated and you get a life beef, life means life, especially in the state of California. And when you're able to climb and claw your way back in a menudo style in a direct fashion to see some sunlight, to see some fresh ground, to toil in some different kind of soil, sabes que? Keep your ass out the mix, right? Stay out the way, as long as you're not fucking a real one. If you're a real one and you're really active and you're really about that life and you're really doing it, more than likely you'll never make it back out. But if for some reason you're a solid individual and you're righteous and you make it out, then real ones stay the fuck up out the way, because Sauska, it ain't nothing nice and ain't nothing more horrible than going back to them dungeons from which you dwelled, right? Anyways, Michael Lynn Thompson, born 1951, October 2nd in Bakersfield, California. You know, as a young kid, man, growing up, grimy, grimy. Bakersfield, California wasn't much out there at that time. Wasn't much out there. And this man's originally from Orange County. Okay, he just was born in Bakersfield, California. He found himself involved in your typical things that white boys do. Rodeo, he was a football star. He was actually a very, very good athlete, but just started to get involved in drugs, started to get involved in a lot of the knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone type crimes that people do, the nickel and dime crimes. Okay, and over time, you start to develop relationships with the riffraff of the neighborhood, the riffraff of the area, and he found himself getting involved in more heavier and harsher crimes. So this Vato Michael Thompson, in the year 1973, he actually gets involved in a drug deal gone bad, for which two of the drug dealers come up short, allegedly, right? Two of them come up short, and sabes que he gets incarcerated for it. And boom, boop, 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 just like that, he's now in the California Department of Corrections system. And sabes que at this time in the 70s is when gangs were really fermenting, when they were really establishing, and everything was turning into a Bangladesh movement. Okay, so quickly he gets incarcerated and he goes to Corcoran Prison. For those of you that ain't never been there and don't know, it's 4 yards and 3 yards. Oh my, it's viciousness, it's pico de gallos, it's pedazos, it's a whole lot of gang members, and it's a whole lot of realness. Okay, so he ends up going to Corcoran Prison, where immediately he catches the eyes of a very new founded group. Fairly new, because I say they've been around since the 60s, but they were still in their infancy, meaning they were going to come up and progress as time went on. And he was actually one of the individuals that propelled them in to their new years, to their adolescent years, and for which they are now adults, grown up, and bang, bang. We all know that story. But he actually meets some individuals from the Aryan Brotherhood, the AB. And, being a white boy, and anyone that's been incarcerated in prison has done an extensive amount of time, as I have, you know that it goes along the racial lines. A lot of people have their own people that they kick it with on the yarda. If you're white, you're going to kick it with the Woods. If you're an Africano, you got the Crips, the Bloods, the Kumis, the Jamas, or the Muslims. Go your way, right? If you're a Chicano, you're going to either kick it north or south, depending upon the geographical area you're from and who you identify with. And then, of course, you have the others, for which we all know those are the Southeast Asians, the Polynesians, so on and so forth. The Vato from Iran that has nowhere to go. So he ran over there to the fucking others and kicked it. They embraced him. The canalismo was real. Sabes que, bing, bang, the witch is dead. The witch is dead. The others over there pushing. Now, Michael Thompson, being a big old tall white boy, actually gets involved with the Aryan Brotherhood, and he quickly gets pulled. He's involved in supposedly numerous jailhouse stabbings, numerous prison yard riots and melees, and the establishment of the Aryan Brotherhood. Now, anyone that knows in the 70s, That's when it was really rocking and rolling. As far as the group organizations, these prison organizations, you had the NF doing their thing on the yarda, the Vatos de Sur, you know what I mean? The Sureños, the Norteños were becoming established on the yards. And then, of course, you had the M that was always doing their thing for a while. And the Aryan Brotherhood were right there side by side, simultaneously stabbing everybody. Now, of course, the enemy of the Aryan Brotherhood at this time was the BGF, for which it was a big movement, a big group, very militant at the time. And so the AB had their hands full. So, of course, Aryan Brotherhood were used to recruiting any soldado that was worthy of their cause, any soldier, any wood that was really willing to go that extra distance. Now, Michael Thompson wasn't no punk. Quite contrary to what we believe, and I know I joke about this individual and several people do, sabes que the vato actually had hands. You know, somewhere along the line, he had learned martial arts. He looked like Chuck Norris, only more sucked up on the pipa. But he had hands. Okay, so he's a notorious individual as far as hands getting thrown. Not no 6-on-1s and 10-on-1s, and ain't no one handling that. Sasuke. I said he was Chuck Norris, not Godzilla. Okay, don't get that twisted. But Michael Lynn Thompson started to become known for having hands and started to move up through the ranks of the AB. Okay, now for me to sit here and say, well, that ain't a hard thing to do, would be a frivolous lie, and the antics that I put into it wouldn't be righteous, because in any of these group organizations, in any of these prison big four, meaning the BGF, NF, and the AB, you have to be a treacherous known hitter. Okay, there has to be a lot that goes into your DNA to make you do this. Not everyone can get pulled into these elite groups, yet this individual was able to wiggle. Okay, he followed the yellow brick road. He followed the yellow brick road. You know, he jumped in the Starship Galactica and he got fucking wherever he got, but he ended up becoming a pooled member and a very high-ranking, influential member of the Aryan Brotherhood. Now, at this time, there's a lot of rules and regulations, and we're not going to touch on the intricacies of their rules and regulations on the AB because there's two reasons. One, in a menudo style, I don't know them, right? And two, it's none of our business, okay? So allegedly, we're going to say that this individual sat down one time at a mesa, at a table with other high-ranking members, for which I won't say their names, and they decided that if for no other reason, there was a lot of snitching and telling going on out there in this world and out there on that yard. And several individuals were getting involved in drug debts and things of that nature. Now, you got to understand, coming from a Wood perspective, the way he was looking at it was, okay, we're going to deal with our own. We don't want any other group faction, any other group segment, any blacks, any other Mexicans, any of them people dealing with our own. We will deal with our own. Now, that same saying goes for every group. You'd rather deal with your own people, take out your own trash. If the basura has to go out, says, okay, you're going to be the garbage man that day. Okay, you don't want anyone else touching you and yours. You will deal with it. And then, says, okay, they can have the leftovers. Orale, leftovers are always good anyways. But they sat down at this table this particular day and they decided that if for no other reason, if they couldn't get to an individual, they would start to take revenge on the families. Now, anyone that comes from the gang life knows, you know, as far as street gangs go and prison gangs go, it's two different political makeups. You know, whereas on your street gang, it might just be kicking it, posted up with the homies, smoking a little leño, you know, going out there, maybe hunting for the adversary. If not, you know, partying, chilling with highness. That's pretty much the makeup of a street gang. You know, there's some very well put together organizations, street gangs or crews that are actually into the D game. Their whole organization is based on making that bolsita, getting that money and establishing that. And then there's some that are about power and revenge and so on and so forth. Anyways, this particular group, this prison gang, felt that for no other reason that too many people were going rampant. They were dropping out. They were telling that they were going to go ahead and break the backs of their people if they couldn't get to them. Now, this had never been done, or if it was very clandestine, meaning a lot of people have not heard about things like this, okay? It wasn't as flamboyant, it wasn't out there. So this right here got to Michael Thompson, the Karate Kid himself. And the reason it got to Michael Thompson was he was a firm and true believer in his cause in the AB. He also was a true believer, and if you had that coming to you, so okay, you can get that wherever he was mad at. But he didn't believe in taking it out on other people's families and using revenge on a family member as a source to get to that individual. Now, we know through time and history, it has happened. It continues to happen. I'm not going to say that these groups, I'm not going to put it on their platform and say they're the ones doing it. But I'm just saying, Sasuke, you might get mad. Hey, that's that, but Sasuke, the wind's blowing. That's that about this brother right there. Fuck him. He looks like him. Sasuke. I don't know. We could just say we made a mistake. And in that fashion, sas, rat-tat-tat-tat-tat, on the rat-tat-tat-tat-tat. You feel me? And they got him. It's no mistaken identity. They knew exactly who they were aiming at. Sasuke, he will reap what he sows. Cain killed Abel, and now Abel got Cain killed. You know, shit goes down like that. But at the same time, it seemed like that this group was implementing revenge on all family members, meaning mothers, fathers, and kids. Oh my, I'm not going to say that they were talking about killing kids. I'm just saying that's the way he took it. So he jumped the gun and automatically was like, nah, my name's Bennett. I'm not trying to be in it. I don't want to be involved in this anymore. So he's seen the light at the end of the rainbow. Oh yes, a rainbow, right? He's seen the light and he said, nah, I don't want to be part of that. So what Michael Lynn Thompson did was he defected from the group. Now, what makes his defection so different from a lot of other ones, because there's a lot of dropouts. There's a lot of people that say, sabes que, hey, nope, it's not for me anymore, or Charlie, I can't make it, or they get removed, or so on and so forth. That's neither here nor there, but it happens daily. What makes his so different was that he was the highest ranking Aryan Brotherhood member to flip, okay, at that time. You know, differently from the M and the NF, what you have is you have several individuals, all of certain status, all of the same status, all moving as one. Whereas you had these individuals, the Aryan Brotherhood, they had a very, very tight-knit hierarchy. So for someone like Michael Thompson, who was solid since 1973, you know, for which he caught that 7 to life beef for the double murder, and then caught several other cases while incarcerated, to defect was a big deal. No one's seen it coming. And for something as simple as a dictation, a missive, or a wheela put out, that now families were on the table. Now, they're not saying that it happens, but they're just saying they were on the table. When people put things on the table, it's merely an idea and a suggestion. But this Vato was looking for any reason to not be part of that organization anymore. And Sasuke, he busted up left when he should have kept going right. You know, now I'm not going to sit here and say that man should have kept being an influence and a gang member, because that's not my reason to speak on it. And I'm not going to poison the individual either and saying that the route he went wasn't a good one for his life and it better fit him. Let's just say the type of individual he was and everything that he had put into this organization, it was very uncharacteristic for Michael Lynn Thompson to do what he did. You know, so this man ended up defecting, okay, but that just wasn't the gist of it. It wasn't just the defection and the Sasuke, okay, I'm going to get up out of here. You guys do you, I'm going to do me. He actually kept progressing in his negative ways, kept doing negative things, only now he was doing it as a dropout with a target on his back. Oh, and oh, yes. Sasuke was a big target. It was Tawanga, the target. It was all over the place. It was loose, right? Arby's. He had a big target. And Vatos couldn't seem to get to him. They shot a lot of torpedoes at him, a lot of sleepers. They were trying to get to him, but of course, administration wanted to utilize this individual for his mind, his mentality, and for the inner workings. And basically, he debriefed and went to a protective housing unit and gave up all the game. Okay, not only did he give up all the game, they started to utilize him to go testify against people. And he flipped on a lot of his comrades, a lot of his camaradas, a lot of his brothers. You know, the people that he had rocked with for several years. But at the same time, what makes Michael Thompson so unique is he continued to get involved in riff-raff behavior, even in the protective housing unit and on these soft yards. See, most people that defect, well, nowadays it's different. Now you got Vatos joining dropout groups and Sasuke. They think they made it. I made it. You know what I mean? But really, you never went nowhere to make it. Okay, this was a Vato that was a very high standings that had made it to the pinnacle of his organization and decided that, like I said, for no other reason than he did, that he would get on down the road. You would think someone of that character, someone of that stature, someone of that mind state, and the mentality that it takes to get to that point would just kick on back and relax in the sunshine. You know, he was still sitting down doing that 7 to life beef. But Charlie, like I said, he started to play in the reindeer games. I think drugs played a big part of it. In fact, I talked to a Wood that did time on the yard with Michael Thompson, and he said the Vato was a straight droguero. He was straight into the pico, right? Sas, orale, like my tío, Pedro Tupaca. I gotta tiene un demo, Michael, right? I fuck with Woods, right? He was doing his thing continually. Okay, and anyone knows that when you're involved in drugs on the yard, gambling, things of that nature, you're going to find yourself caught up. It's only a matter of tiempo, right? So anyways, he continued to do that, testifying against people, slamming at night, you know, beating people up on the yard and telling in the daytime. Either way, man, it was back and forth. Beat me to boo boo boo. It was like a ping pong game, only nobody was winning. Okay, so we've all heard the story, and let me. I'm going to do a Mythbuster right here on 55th Mythbusters right now. The story that Michael Thompson told upon one of his interviews that he beat up 6 NF members that were fully strapped and functioning and ready and coming at him. Sasuke, according to him, he was Lone Wolf McQuade, Bruce Lee, and Steven Seagal all tied up in one, when really he was Jean-Claude Van Damme dancing like a Hoto, right? That's a lie. It's a frivolous antic on his part, and it's a bull-faced lie. There's no way no man on earth could disarm, maybe Bruce Lee, I can't call it, he's different. But there's no man on earth that could disarm 6 well-known hidden-ass NF members. It just wasn't ever going to happen. It never happened. It never will happen. That was what you call fantasy. That was the princess's bride, okay? And he was the princess. It wasn't never going to go down like that, and it never happened like that. Now, I'm not going to dissuade the man and say that an incident of 6 coming at him didn't happen, but if they did, Sasuke, they scraped him. Okay, they scraped him in a scraper like the gorilla pits, and that's real talk and real life. Coming from someone that has been around certain individuals and rubbed elbows and know of them and seen them and been there and done that, I'll tell you, man, 6 individuals from that organization strapped up, you don't want to be on the same block, let alone the same city, because they ain't playing. If they're coming for reals. They don't do for fakes, they do for reals and in real life. And Michael Thompson knows this, but of course, the type of character he is and the degenerate mind that he has now become accustomed to, lying is part of just his daily life. So, Michael Thompson sits down for 45 years. Let that sink in. That's good. 4 decades plus 5, right? He sits down for 45 years on a 7 to life beef, and they believe that he's reformed. He's now been on SNY yards. He's playing like a lot of gavas do. Keep it real, tell the truth, right? All of a sudden, you start seeing a lot of white boys with beads around their neck, and they grow their hair out with feathers. I've seen about that are bald right here, but they got scraggly ass hair, talking about they're from Oklahoma, they're Cheyenne, and all of a sudden, they're indigenous people, they're native, they're Indios, right? I can't call it like an alcoholic. Those of you that have been on the yard and been in prison have seen it. They're all at the powwow eating fry bread, right? But we know this not to be true, but everyone just lets them think and do what they do. There are some that got fucking a 10th of native in them, and Sasuke, all of a sudden they think they're the chief, right? But this is the card he played. Now, whether he was native or wasn't, I can't call it like an alcoholic. But Sasuke coming from Orange County and being born in Bakersfield, Sasuke joining the rodeo and shit, it just doesn't seem feasible. But anyways, it's his story. I'm just telling it. The Vato starts to play the Indio role, meaning he's out the way. He's probably still indulging in his drugs on the yard, on the SNY yard. I'm sure he's still doing his little knick-knack, paddywhack things, but at the same time, he's not on the radar of the administration. Again, he's working with them. He's influencing them. He's debriefing daily. He's letting them know what's going on. So they felt that if for no other reason, when he went before the board to grant this individual parole. You mean I'm getting parole? Orale. Simon, I did it, Jefe. I made parole, right? Orale, Miklo. So Miklo gets his parole. Michael Thompson. Might as well be Miklo. I heard he sucked on fingers too. Anyways, the Vato gets his parole. Okay? And quickly goes out there to, I believe it was Lake County. Okay? In Northern California. And decides that if for no other reason, he has an old lady waiting on him out there. He has another life. This is his second chance at life. Now, I said in the beginning of the spiel, when the sun is shining on you and you get that chance, you grasp it, you run with it, you do you. Okay, but such not old big old badass Michael Thompson. Charlie, he starts to quickly get involved with the neighborhood individuals that are into drugs. Okay, drugs will always be your downfall. I'm not here to say neither here or there. If you're out there slanging and banging, man, get your bolsita. Get your bolsita, right? If you're out there indulging, Sasuke, get help. Get a lot of help, right? But he starts to get involved in this, and he comes up with this fraud, allegedly. And he wants to fraud some individuals, some people. And I know the details of this whole fraud game, but I'm not going to put them out there because, Sasuke, it's not for me to give you the game to speak on shit like that. I'm not trying to make you a better criminal. I'm just trying to say if you're a criminal, do your thing. And if you're not, then don't go that route because it's ugly. But anyways, the profile on this guy is he gets involved in this EDD fraud. And this was about the time that they were giving out stimulus checks. He found a way around it. He found a loophole, and he gets involved. And Sasuke, the baboso, gets locked back up. Of course, people are all scanted out. They're telling on each other. And Sasuke, there's Michael Thompson with a fucking feather in his ear like this. His picture, he's all buffled out. And he's done. Okay, he's done. So let's think about it. Michael Thompson, a youngster out there with true beliefs, a real one, gets caught up. doing the life beef, doing everything that he has to do in prison to survive, to maintain his safety and security, and then gets involved with an organization. Okay, I ain't mad at him. He's doing what he felt he had to do, you know, and then flips on that same organization, but doesn't get away from them same type of characteristics in them same ways. He might as well stood rocking with the gente, with the people. So I was scared he's out here hurting people anyways, but that's just what them types of characters do, right? So anyways, that was just a lightweight profile on one Michael Thompson. As we're speaking now, as I'm speaking, you're just listening. So I get like this, probably at work. Whistle, you're whistling while you work. This Vato's incarcerated, and he's looking at a whole bunch of time. He's probably never going to get out, because when you have a life beef over your head and they give you that one chance, you still got the life beef over your head. So he's pretty much done. Stick a fork in him. He's a turkey. He's overcooked. He's fried. He's bamboozled. He's fandangled. He's fugazied. He's done. Bye-bye, Michael Thompson. See you later. You had your chance and you fucked it up. Why? Because you didn't learn your lesson. See, there's lessons in life. And when you don't adhere to those lessons and you don't learn them, guess what happens? Sasuke, you do life. You know what I mean? Or you die. One or the other. Sasuke, again, he's always going to have that target on his back, but he'll go right back into the SNY and get right back in the spoon. It's what them types do. Anyways, with that being said, think about what you do before you do it, man. Make your next move your best move. Hey, if you knew better, guaranteed, homie, just like this ring light right here that's shining on me, I'm going to do better. I'm going to stay bright. Anyways, if you like this spiel, bam, hit it with that thumbs up, like that. Please subscribe. If you don't, you can hit it with the thumbs down. Heavy as the head that wears the crown. Remember, if you go out there, move with a fast purpose for your familia and really get it and keep to your characteristics and your real ways, man, you will prosper. You will propel in life. You will get that bag. You will be able to sip a Mai Tai one time. You feel me? If not, this Sasuke, join Michael Thompson in his reindeer games, because we won't let poor Rudolph join in these. It's already is what it is. You know what it be like, man. And I'll make the beat go boom. Gunner. And I'm out. Orale, Michael Thompson. So I beat up everybody on the yarda. Shit, after they fucked you.